Hey y'all, today's Bible study is going to be Genesis 16 verse 13. Just going to get into it and I'm going to speak, hopefully as the Holy Spirit leads me. We'll see how this goes. Okay. Little background on this. This is Hagar leaving the house of Abraham and Sarah basically because she was tired of how she was being treated. And she goes in the wilderness and it looks like she might die. So an angel appears to her and gives her some guidance, tells her what to do, and tells her what else does he tell her? Like a little bit about her future. And so verse 13 reads, "She gave this name to the Lord who spoke to her. You are the God who sees me. For she said, I have now seen the one who sees me." I love that verse. It's highlighted. First time I really heard it, I had read through the Bible before, but I had heard it in the Chosen series when I think, or when Mary Magdalene, she either sinned, it was either the first time and Jesus calls her, or it was she went back to it and Jesus calls her. I can't remember, but when I heard it in that context, it just like made my heart leap because I'm like, He is the God who sees us. He is the God who has seen all of us. And that's how it feels to be delivered from a place of darkness, any kind of darkness. It's like, you saw me. You called me out of that. You called me by my name. I just love that so much. Anyways, that's how it feels to be delivered from something that you realize, like, okay, my life was going in a downhill trajectory. I might have died, but somehow something shook me up. Something called me back to the Lord, or to the Lord for the first time, or whatever. So what I really want us to talk about is the fact that all of us have seen the Lord in varying degrees. All of us have seen the Lord, and He has seen us. You know, I was actually just reading Psalms 139, which states, "Before you were even in your mother's womb, I knew you." You know, He put His Spirit in you. He formed your spirit, and He knows you inside and out more intimately than anyone else, than any other person ever will. Jesus. So when it says, "You are the God who sees me," I'm just like, I can't believe that the Lord who created all things sees us, but yet He does. There's another verse I want to say in Psalms, maybe, and it's Job, Psalms, I think it's David speaking, and he says something like, who are human beings that you would be mindful of us? And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so true. Like, it's like, it's hard to wrap our heads around, and for some people that's actually what hinders what even hinders their ability to receive the Lord. They're just like, nah, like, if He is real, there's no way that sorry, I keep having to move this thing because it's saying I need more light to record. Sorry about that. I'm in cinematic mode. Anyways, light B. Anyways, so what was I talking about? He says, yeah, what are human beings that you would be mindful of them? Oh my gosh. And it's just like, people sometimes think like, yeah, there's no way that like I could like wrap my head around God. It's just easier to like just kind of believe that He doesn't exist, because if He does exist, like, it's almost like coming from a guilt place. I've actually heard people talk like this, where it's like I don't deserve like his attention, I don't deserve his love, whatever. So it's easy to just brush it off, but that's not how he looks at you. Like, he looks at you literally as his child, his precious one, his precious baby. Like, you know, he's not looking at you like in the way that you would think that he's looking at you. I'll put it that way. What the heck? This light thing is not working out for me. Sorry, y'all. I don't know how to do this, so I guess I'm gonna end this video pretty soon, because I don't know if, I guess it's just recording as a normal video. I don't know. This is the first time I'm doing cinematic mode. Sorry that this is a little bit distracting. Sorry about that. But anyways, so yes, we've all seen the Lord. We've all heard from the Lord, whether we realize it or not. I think he's gonna have me speak about this in its own like its own video, but I feel led to just mention dreams and how in the past ancient people believed that they were 100% from, you know, the gods or whatever god, and they were messages from the spirit world. And while not every single dream is that, most are. And I'm bringing this up because if for no other reason you've had a dream, you dream, hopefully, and you've had a dream and that has been the Lord speaking to you. But because, you know, we kind of live in this society now where we don't really like uphold the things of God or spiritual things or whatever. We just think, oh, like, you know, it's just my subconscious going crazy. It's possible that's what that was, but it's also possible it was the voice of the Lord. And more likely than not, you've probably had a dream that has startled you, shocked you, really alarmed you. That is 100% a sign that it is from the Lord. Now, interpreting it is something else, but I'm just trying to give you like a nugget about, you think the Lord has never tried to speak to you, to encounter you or whatever, but he has. And if you're still doubtful and you're listening to this, I'm proof. He's telling me this to tell you that was me, if that makes sense. So, yeah. What was I gonna say? I was gonna say, lastly, that we've also experienced God showing himself in miracles that we didn't realize. I know it's a popular belief that there is no such thing as coincidence, that's all God. My personal belief, I don't know if this is like a wrong or right thing. I think it's just like an opinion, just like that is an opinion, is that not all coincidences are God. I just personally don't believe that. Just like I just shared that all dreams aren't God. I don't believe that all coincidences are necessarily God, but many are. Many of you have experienced a circumstance where, I mean, it looked like there was no way you were going to get out of it. There was no way around this situation. And then all of a sudden something came through, and statistically it just didn't even make sense. Logically it just didn't even make sense. It's like, how did this even happen? How was I delivered from this? How did I, you know, like, I got a bill to pay, I don't get paid till next week, I have no money, and all of a sudden, you know, randomly someone's like, hey, like, I feel like you could use this. It just gives you, like, I mean, these are the kind of stories that I hear often, and I'm just so in awe of how many miracles we experience and we don't even realize. And so what's going on in the background of that is the Lord is sending his angels to intervene. Sometimes you're like that person who may have said, hey, I feel like you could just use this money. Like, I don't know why, but I just feel led to give it to you. That could be a person, but it actually could be an angel. It says in the word that be kind to strangers because you might be entertaining angels unaware. Sometimes these run-ins that you have are literally an angel. Angels can take on human form when they come to earth. By the way, if you're wondering, like, well, don't they look like a bunch of eyeballs? I still kind of have a little bit of misunderstanding with that, because personally, I think it's talking about spiritual eyes and not like physical eyes, but I could be totally wrong about that. I just think like seeing a being with like eyes all over it would just trigger my trypophobia. If you know, you know. Like, I just that just, but it makes sense that it says do not fear every time an angel is around. But yeah, some of those run-ins were actually angels that you didn't even know. I have had, at one point, I think the Lord will release me to be able to share all my angelic encounters, and I've had several throughout my life. Even when I was young, like young, and didn't really understand the things of God, I just like, loved God with my limited understanding. And even when I wasn't as close to him, like I've had angelic encounters, and I just knew by the Spirit it was an angel. Nothing like told me or anything like that. It was just like, okay, I know what this is. And that level of conviction is so interesting. Okay, I don't want to like go on a whole tangent, but it's so interesting how there's a level of conviction you have depending on your spirit, because all of us are born with different spiritual capacities, but you can always grow. But, and when I say that, I mean like your ability to pick up on spiritual things. There's always such a conviction, if it's God, if it's an angel, things of him. It's like, I know what this is. No, I've never experienced it. It doesn't matter. Like, I just know what this is. When it's the enemy, it's always like, was this God? Was this me? Was this the enemy? Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I find that really interesting. Now, have there been times when I didn't know where something was coming from? Absolutely. But certain encounters come with a level of conviction that is just like, yeah, nah, I know what's going on here. And as you grow, you'll get sharper with the idea that, okay, this is absolutely God. This is absolutely, me, or whatever the case is. Anyways, I'm going to end this because I don't want this to be too long. But many of us have experienced, honestly, the God who sees me type miracles with an angel, unaware. Meaning God sees you. God absolutely sees you. You do realize that in a situation where there is literally no hope, like I'm like this example I gave about, like, your bills being paid and then someone comes out of nowhere, right, and just says, hey, like, I just want you to have this money. Maybe it's like a relative even, or something like that. But you do realize that from a spiritual perspective, God is looking at you and saying, okay, I'm going to send help. I'm going to, reveal myself to them in this way. And maybe they'll pick up on it, and maybe they'll look towards me. If that makes sense. Now, unfortunately, you might be thinking, well, he's God, he should know. What also happens is the enemy gets to work. The enemy is like, okay, you probably were like, oh, that was a miracle. Wow, like, maybe God is real, or whatever the case is. And the enemy starts speaking to you and starts saying stuff like, or your flesh starts speaking. And it's like, nah, that really wasn't God. Like, come on now. That was actually just some coincidence or something like that. Some crazy coincidence. But literally, like, he is the God who sees me. I know that as my personal testimony throughout my life. And it's crazy because I walked for a while without that realization. He's the God who sees me, but he's also the God who sees you. He sees us all. All right, that's it. Bye.